Hello, welcome to episode 2.
Here's our blanket, excellent.
Asymmetrical twin. Dropping and sinking up.
Notice how
So just notice. Joining us for the second episode next week. Namaste. Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Namaste Yoga. Thank you to the over 3,000 views we've had this past week. I really appreciate everybody tuning in and watching the shows each week. We really enjoy bringing them to you. If there's any topics or themes or poses or things that you would like to have me cover, just feel free to drop me an email at info@melissawest.com, and I would love to hear your feedback on the show. So I've got lots of friends with me here today. I've got my friend Lori, and I've got Lurleen from organizeyourworld.ca, and I've got Lisa from ajaxfitness.com. So lots of fun, lots of friends today. Today we're going to be doing a class where we're really opening up the hips and in particular the groin. And so if you have blocks at home, if you have 4, we'll use 4. If not, grab a couple of pillows. We'll be able to make do without them. And 2 would be good. And even if you don't, you can always grab a chair or a coffee table or whatever you have at home and make do without 2. So we're going to start today with the block set up like this, where you're going to have one block that's standing tall and one that's standing long. So if you guys can all do that. And Lori's going to show how to do it with a bolster instead of blocks like that, because this can be really kind of angular. And depending on your back, it might not feel that great. So, you know, people that have fibromyalgia or chronic pain, then this is just going to be really unpleasant. So the bolster can be nice. So the way the blocks work is you lie down and the base of the block is at about the broad line, and then the head rests on the top block. That's it. Yeah. Okay. And then you're going to take you're going to bend both knees. I'll pass your blocks since I tell you to keep them close by. This is going to be worth it when we get it set up. You're going to bend both knees. Open them and bring the soles of the feet together. Great. And then the blocks will support your legs. Yeah. So that the hips can stop gripping. You good? Good. You got enough room back here? Yep. Okay. Good. Okay. So this is how we're going to do our guided relaxation today. Okay, so give yourself a chance to settle in. We're working with the kidney and bladder meridians today. The kidney and bladder are the dominant organs for the winter season, and here in the northern hemisphere, we are definitely in the middle of winter now. The kidney and bladder meridians run from inside the big toe up the inside of the leg to the pubic bone, and then up the inside of the spine to about the center of the chest. So the way you have your feet with your knees open, that really allows you to work with that energy line on the inside of the legs, and then the way the block props your chest open helps to open up that energy line as well. So give yourself a chance to settle in and just notice what it feels like to lie over the blocks or the bolsters like this. Notice where you feel support against the back of the body. Become aware of where you feel stretching, maybe across the front of the chest, maybe in the groin and the insides of the legs. And notice how your body feels today. And then start to become aware of your breathing, following the breath as you draw it in through the nose, into the body. Notice where it goes in the body. Feel the spots that are open to breath. And feel the spots where it feels like the breath isn't quite reaching today. And then checking in with your emotions today. Notice how you're feeling. If you feel tired, if you're feeling happy, sad, worried, anxious. Just noticing what you're feeling. And then I also want you to bring a particular emotion into your awareness, an emotion that we will be working with today. And when I say this one, I want you to just notice how your mind, your body, your thoughts react to it. So the emotion that we're going to check in with right now is fear. That tends to be the emotion that is associated in traditional Chinese medicine with the kidney and bladder. So just notice what your stories are when we think of fear. Notice how it feels in the body. Notice what your reaction is to it. So when I was first thinking about this class and designing it, I was thinking that, probably fear is not really an emotion I'm too connected with on a very regular basis. Because, we live in a time where, and I live in a place where I live in a safe home and I'm not likely to be attacked by a wild animal at night. But then when I started thinking about it a little bit more, there's that kind of ongoing low-grade fear, sort of worry and anxiousness, things like, am I going to make it to my appointment on time? What's going to happen with this? What's going to happen with that? Fear of the unknown. All these things create, low-grade fear on quite a constant basis in our lives. So just notice how you connect with that in your lives. And then notice what thoughts are going on in your mind. So one thing that I've been noticing lately is that I tend to have sort of a dominant theme thought in my life or in a day, and it kind of changes day to day. So what is your thinking doing today? What's your dominant thought pattern? We tend to go over and over the same things again and again in our minds. And then checking in with your spiritual connection, your connection to your higher self, your soul, your spirit, and notice how that is today. When was the last time you took time to feed your spirit? And what does your spirit say to you today? And then gathering up all that information on how your body feels, your emotions, your thoughts, your spirit, your breath, and take a moment to set an intention for your practice today. choosing an intention that will support you in your life. So you have chosen to spend the next hour with us here at Namaste Yoga. And you gave up a lot of things probably to be able to do that. So how is this time going to best serve you in your life? And then when you have your intention ready, you can start to gently move to come off the blocks. I'm going to get you to bring your knees in. And to come off the block from your head, tuck your chin and roll to your side. And you can just come right back down to lying on your backs and grab your straps. So I guess I was so much thinking about the blocks that I forgot to mention that we are going to use straps today. So if you have a yoga strap, great. If you don't, you can always use the tie from your bathrobe or an old man's an old necktie. It might be from an old man. I just have images of going and finding the nearest old man and taking his necktie. Don't do that. A tie. You need a tie. And we're going to work with part of Supta Pandangustasana today. And so if you can put your strap around your right foot, and we'll draw the right leg in. And I'm going to have you go to opening the right leg out to the side straight away, so that we're getting right into that meridian, on the inside of the leg. Fabulous. Great. Good. So as you do that, you want to sink and drop down through the opposite left leg. And continue to breathe into the body. Okay, and then we'll bring the legs back center slowly, and we're just going to get you to lower it down right away. And you can pick up the other leg, hook up the other foot. And draw the left leg in. Great, and open up the other leg. Great, so we're just going to get you to come back here. Great. Eat your toes. So you're doing a good job. My body's so sore today, I'm going to help you instead of doing this again. Okay, and then we'll slowly bring that leg back in and lower it down. Great. Okay, from here you're going to bend your knees and either rock yourselves up or roll to your side. We're going to do cat pose. So as I mentioned, that kidney bladder meridian does run right up along the spine. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We're going to exhale, round up through the back. And inhale and extend. And really focus on bringing the spine into a full range of motion. to very broad extension and very broad flexion. Breathing out as you round the spine up towards the ceiling. Breathing in as you open the spine to the ground. And then we'll start to add some direction to that. So we're exhaling and rounding and shifting back. And then we're inhaling, extending, and shifting forward. So exhaling, rounding, shifting back. Inhaling, extending, coming forward. I think the soreness in my body has something to do with the 12 rounds of sun salutation that Ninka, who you guys had the pleasure of meeting last week, had me do yesterday. Complete with chaturangas on every single one. Okay, and then we're going to, let's do a little bit of lunging to start. So why don't we start by walking the left leg through into lunge. Okay, so we're going to do a little lunge variation to get right into the inside of that hip and the groin. So if you can take both feet to the inside of the, both hands to the inside of the left foot. And Lori, if you can bring your foot forward a little bit more, that'll make that a little easier for you, hopefully. Okay, and then we'll walk the hands over to the right knee. Now, if you can get a real tight shot in on the knee here, when you bring your hands over, it's going to kind of start to torque the knee. So you actually want to pick up the knee and come onto the inside of it, which is very unusual. We hardly ever do that. But notice how this leg's almost at a right angle, and I'm on the inside edge of my foot as well. Thank you. And then we're going to shift and lean forward into the left heel. So you're getting right into that groin there. Feel that, girls? Pretty quiet today. They're suffering in silence. Okay, and then we're going to come out slowly and bring the leg back. Good. You're still going to be my friends after, right? I love you. Okay, right leg through. We got that on videotape now. Okay, so right leg is coming through. I'm going to bring the hands to the inside of the right foot. And then we walk over to that left knee, picking up the left knee, coming onto the inside of it, and squatting up towards the right heel.
It might not be till tomorrow, but I love you.
Yeah, this class is intense during, but you know what? You'll feel good tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, and then come back center. Let's just do a nice down dog to counterpose that. So spreading the fingers nice and wide, lengthening the spine up, reaching the heels towards the ground. Okay, and then we'll slowly come down to the knees, and I'm going to get everybody to turn and face the camera. And at home, you're going to turn and you're going to face widthwise on your mat. And we're going to start bringing the knees out for frog pose. So again, you're on the inside of your knees. And if you're at home, it can be good to stick, if you've got pillows close by, just put a couple of pillows under your knees. So we're going to come down onto the forearms, tuck the tail under, and lean back. Okay, so people tend to do this, which doesn't get into the groin at all. You're going to come back. Wow, I heard the wow. Yeah, and it's a very intense stretch. Yeah, everybody okay? Looks good. So what I find really interesting about poses like frog is that it really elicits the same kind of responses as the fear emotion. Because when I get in here, I'm thinking anything but this, anywhere but here, and I just want out. So that's really pretty common to fear, is, the response is to run away. So just notice how you respond to having this line engaged in your body. Okay, and then we're going to come out slowly. And I think we'll do another down dog before we go on. Just kind of collect ourselves again. So Lori gets extra kudos because she did this last night with me too. Or maybe our bodies are warmed up to it, who knows. Okay, and then we're going to lower it down again. The next thing we're going to do involves really deep knee flexion. So I'm going to give a modification if you have any issues with your knee where you shouldn't come into deep knee flexion. But let me get you set up. You're going to bend one leg and extend the other leg and come upright. So you're getting right into that inner thigh again. And if deep knee flexion is too much, then you can just come upright and do that from here. That would be totally fine. Absolutely gets into the same adductor muscles, so that's totally fine. Yes. For this one, like the toes up and the foot flex. Good question. And on the center of the heel. See how that gets right into the adductors more? Yeah. So it always goes back to, and I'm like a broken record, but it always goes back to your intention for the pose. So if your intention was different, then it could be that you would want your foot down. But because of what we're working, we want the foot up. And then we'll come to the other side. Okay, great. So from here, I want you to find a safe way to make your way up to standing. We're going to stand up. And I think we'll actually start with at the back of our mat, standing at the back of our mats. We'll do the warrior ones first, and then we'll get into some triangles and side angle poses, but we'll start with the warrior ones. So stand at the back of your mat. Let's start by taking a step forward with the right foot. Okay, we're gonna do the Esther Myers von Schiavelli style warrior one. So it's not a big stance. It's a short stance. And then to bend the knee, I want you to sink through that front right sit bone, but keep the torso straight over the hips. Great, good. And then we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back. We'll broaden and widen the shoulders, breathing in and breathing out, and open the chest. Great. Good. So I chose this one to really open up that center line in the body here. And also because Warrior One is just such a great metaphor, great pose for working with fear, because, we always want to, as yogis, as spiritual warriors, we want to face our fears head on. Okay, and then we'll slowly release that down and step the feet together. And let's do that on the other side as well, same thing. So standing toward the back of the mat, we'll take a step forward with the left foot. Both toes are going to be pointing straight ahead. Just take a look at that back right foot. And so as I mentioned, these are the short stance version that I'm working with right now, so it doesn't have to be a big step. So bend the front left knee. And we'll interlace the fingers, roll the shoulders back and down, broad across the chest, and open the chest. And just think about floating the heart up to the ceiling. Great, and then we'll release that down. Good. Okay, so turn and face front so that you're sideways on your mat again. And I want you to take your feet nice and wide with your toes pointing straight ahead. And you will want to have a block close by. You may want it right now, you may want it later for Trikonasana. Okay, so I had the privilege of doing some anatomy workshops over the last little bit. And so it's made me rethink the way I do some things. So one of the things is how we come into a forward bend. And from what I learned in the anatomy workshop, it's easier on the spine if the movement comes primarily from the pelvis. So what we're going to do is come into a forward bend by rolling the pelvis over the femur bones. So you're going to roll the pelvis over the leg bones. You're going to keep the spine nice and straight, lifting and extending the sit bones up towards the ceiling. Okay, and then coming into a forward fold that way. Good, and you may want to use your block here. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then what we're going to do is turn the left toes so they're facing what we'll now call the front of your mat for now. And we'll turn the right toes in so they're turned toward the left toes. So the heels line up, the left foot, the right heel, the left heel and the right heel. And you may need your block, or a bolster can be good for this too. And you'll probably see a space where your torso is and your shoulder. You put the block right underneath your shoulder. So it may be here over the foot, but see, that's not a very straight line. So if I bring it right underneath my shoulder, I'm going to drop my left sit bone and open the right hip bone, okay? And we're gonna bring the right arm up. I want both legs straight, okay? And we've officially departed from the Bandha Scaravelli shorter stance standing postures here. We're doing a long stance Trikonasana, okay? So breathing. Nice long, slow, deep breath. And then what we're going to do is bend that front left knee. And you're going to bring the right arm all the way over. So you can either continue to keep the hand on the floor or the block, or come up onto the leg. So whatever is best for you today. So for me today, here. Okay, and then we'll come down and toes turn to face front. Gonna roll the pelvis over the leg bones again and come into wide-legged standing forward fold. Feel the difference between the two legs. Okay, and then we're going to take the right toe so it faces, we'll call that the back of our mat now, and the left toes in so they face toward the right toes. Right heel lines up with the left heel. Take the block underneath the shoulder, dropping the right sit bone, opening the left hip bone, bringing the left arm up. And you could even be up on your shin here too, or if you have a chair, on a chair. And then we'll bend the front right knee, bringing the left arm all the way over. So hand can either stay on the block or come up onto the leg or be on the floor. Good. And then we'll slowly come out, turning the toes so they point to the front of the room and rolling those hips over the leg bones again. Okay, and then we're slowly gonna come up. Toe heel it in. Great, and I'm gonna get you to make your way down to lying on your bellies. Okay? Sure, I'll turn around. Good idea. Okay, let's lie on our bellies. Ooh. So, I've been thinking all the way through this podcast of whether to share this with you or not. So I think because it keeps coming on my mind, I'll share it with you. One thing that I've noticed in my own yoga practice lately is that I have this aversion to physical edge. So, I'll go into a pose and I think, oh, that hurts a little too much. Maybe I'll back off. And so in my own practice, I've been playing with coming to the physical edge a little bit more, not in a place where I'm in any danger or pain, but just where I'm really feeling it more. And let me tell you, I'm really feeling it today. This is what happens when you play with physical edge. You feel it in your body. And it's so interesting because everything in my body just, doesn't want the experience. So it's an interesting experience in working with aversion too. So, but I encourage you to go for your edges and to not cheat yourself. So we're going to start on our bellies, and I'm going to come around and assist you with this because there's some really nice assists with this. You're going to rest your forehead on the ground and bring your hands underneath the shoulders. And I actually want you to internally rotate your legs so you're knock-kneed and pigeon-toed, and that should create a lot of nice space through the sacrum. We'll pelvic tilt so you're feeling your hip bones and your pubic bone on the ground. And over the next few breaths, start to drop the pelvic floor and hug the belly back to the spine. So with the palms on the ground and the elbows off, I want you to inhale. You're going to exhale, hover the head off the ground, and roll backwards through the spine. And you can come up to that point where there's no compression in the low back. So that might be straight arms for you. And that's the catch-22 in this pose, that once the spine becomes more flexible, it's less work. Yeah, great. Good, good, good. And really staying dropped through the shoulders here, keeping the elbows in tight to the body, dropping the tail under, yeah. And then there you feel that. So that's good. You're getting in your arms more and not in your shoulders, but now you're feeling it in your arms more. Okay, and then you're going to slowly lower yourselves down. Good. And from that lowered position, wiggling those hips from side to side. So we're going to do this 3 times. And you're wondering why I'm hurting today. Okay, so shoulders are rolled back and up nice. You're going to inhale. Exhale, hover the head off the ground, roll back through the spine. Nicely done. And look, that's much higher this time. It's great. You're doing a great job of staying broad across the chest, of staying long through the low back. How's it feeling? Good. Think about lifting that heart forward too. And slowly down. And we'll do that one more time. You up for it one more time? You can say no. You know, if your body's in pain, just don't teach yourself from your being of not experiencing your physical edge. Okay, ready? We'll breathe in. Breathe out. Over the head. Move through the back. Great, and then we'll slowly lower down and we'll push up and back onto our heels. for child's pose, releasing the low back. So in my own practice at home, I like to work on holding the pose for about 30 breaths. But I'm not there yet in Cobra, so what I did, that's why we did it 3 times for about 10 breaths each time. Okay, and then we'll roll ourselves up to seated. Right. And we're going to come to sit in Baddha Konasana. And if you have your blocks or your pillows, just grab those again. I'm going to use 2 blocks here. So unless you have those hips that just externally rotate so easily and your knees drop to the ground, it can be really nice to prop your knees a little bit with blocks so that the legs can rest and you're still getting a stretch, but there's not that gripping in the hips because the gripping is not too useful. Okay, so is that 45 or 55? 45, okay. Lengthen up nice and tall through the spine. And we're going to take the left hand to the outside of the right knee. We'll take the right arm up and around behind us to the base of the spine to lengthen the spine up. And then come back center. And this time we'll take the right hand to the outside of the left knee. Left arm comes up and around to the base of the spine. Lengthen the spine up. Rotate to the left. And then we'll come back center. We're going to inhale, lengthen up nice and tall. Exhale, we're going to hinge forward at the hips and come into forward folding Baddha Konasana. Okay, and then slowly up to seated now. We're going to work with Upavista Konasana. So when you take your legs wide, if your pelvis sits back like this, rolls backwards, so that if it was a bowl and there was water falling out the back, then I want you to take yourself and lift yourself up. And I'm actually, since we've got the blocks already here, I'm actually going to use the blocks. You're going to sit on the blocks or a blanket. You could sit and perch yourself on a blanket or on a pillow. Just something to lift the hips a bit. And I want you to sit on that block. And even if, you feel like you could kind of get your pelvis to roll forward without it, it's so nice to use it. I want you to kind of perch on the edge of the block in a way that your pelvis is tilting forward so that if there was water in the pelvis, it would be falling out the front of the pelvis. Okay. And then I also want you to take your legs wide. Now, wide enough that you're feeling it in the groin and the inner thighs, but not on the insides of the knees. So really honor your knees and be cautious and careful with your knees, okay? So when we're talking about physical edge, we're not talking about it in the joint. So let's root the sit bones and tailbone down, and then you're going to fold forward here. Okay, and I want most of that sensation to be in your inner thighs. And then in this position, I want you to see if you can do cat pose. So you're going to exhale round and inhale and extend. And exhale round and inhale and extend. And then we'll slowly come up to seated. And from here, bring your legs in carefully. I just find that the tendency for me is to move from the joints there. So try to move from the hip joint, not the knee joint. And then we'll come to a comfortable cross-legged position, and it can be really nice to stay sitting up on the blocks, especially if you spent a week in training sitting on the floor. Okay, we're going to finish today with a mudra for fluid balance in the body. So if you can bring the thumb and the fourth fingers together and extend through the other 3 fingers. And root down through the tailbone, lengthen up through the spine. So as you're sitting here quietly and reflecting on your practice, think back on your experience today. And notice what stands out for you most. It can be something you noticed about your body. Maybe it was a thought, realization, Maybe it's something you became aware of in your emotions. Just notice what awareness you gained by practicing your yoga today. And then, because yoga is a transformational process, consider how you can carry that awareness with you out into your week this week. And just spend a few breaths allowing that to affirm you. And then when you're ready, let's bring our hands to our heart, to prayer position. And because I have a little extra time today, I want to take a moment to thank some of the people that make Namaste Yoga possible. So I want to thank Terry Mamrucci for opening up her studio space every Friday to us for recording Namaste Yoga. And I want to thank Ken Audley from Naturals Apparel for supplying me with my clothes for Namaste Yoga. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And just before we go, I'm going to show you a restorative posture that you can finish your practice with today on your own. It can be nice to stay in it for 10, even 20 minutes. So we'll finish by greeting you with Namaste. Namaste. And then I'll show you the restorative posture. So actually I'll get Lori to demonstrate it. So if you want to go to legs up the wall. So the trick to getting your legs up the wall is to sit on the very edge of your mat and put your hip right up against the wall, the side of your hip. And then the legs can swing around. Yeah. So this is a fabulous inversion. It's great for restoring energy, which is fabulous in the winter. And today it would be nice to do it with the legs wide. So you can open the legs. So now one word of caution when you do this is that I find my muscles can go further than my joints are happy doing. So just check in with the knee joints once you get there and make sure that they're not compromised in any way. So sometimes I find I go and I have to back off a little bit. So this can be a great posture to rest in here, great for the immune system, really fabulous restorative inversion. So enjoy that as a way to finish your practice.